While Transitions in Quincy is offering mental health services geared toward military veterans and their specific needs. The expanded services are part of the agency's effort to become a certified community behavioral health clinic. The initiative includes training in military culture for all of those who are providing service, as well as hiring a licensed clinical social worker who is a veteran, who says the differences between military and civilian cultures can be sometimes problematic.
Military culture is very different from the civilian world, and sometimes those two can clash, especially if we're trying to ask questions from a good place, but we don't understand how that might affect a veteran. That could be potentially harmful.
Sexton says Transitions accepts veterans insurance, and they do have a walk-in policy. Any veteran in need should stop by and speak to an intake officer who can help them apply for benefits and find a payment plan.